It's exhausting to vet every person you want to put change in the jar for.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's exhausting for people to, it's like, like it's tiring to have to do that. And I just have empathy for those that have had cynicism where it's like, I'm just tired of being taken advantage of.
Well, the other thing to remember is this. Jesus got taken advantage of. It's not the worst thing in the world to move on your compassion and it gets taken advantage of. There's worse things. Yeah. So Jesus put himself out there vulnerably and no one said thank you. I mean, like, it led to a cross. I think my bigger point is, I remember one time I was at our Mannheim campus, and I was walking out. We had our group I was about to meet with a small group of people that we were doing life with at the time. And as I was walking out, there was this family that was obviously distressed that walked into our church building. And I was like, hey, what's your names? Just started a conversation with them. Found out that they had driven or were driving like from North Dakota to try to get to some family. They're homeless. They had nothing, and they were completely out of gas, and they hadn't run out yet, but they basically had hardly anything left in the tank, and they had like $19 left, and so they were distraught. And they came they saw the church, and they came in. So I was like, okay, I'm about to go. The building was shutting down at that point. I'm about to go hang out with some other people, and why don't you follow me? Do you have enough gas it's like a mile and a half away? They said, yeah, we'll follow you. So they follow us to the home. I bring them in the place, like we bring them in and basically go, here's the story. And everybody in that group gave hundreds of dollars to them.
Wow.
To get them a hotel for that night, whatever they needed. That was how, because they're like, okay, well, we love Jesus. Jesus did this for us. So yeah, be blessed. They left, and one of the people in the group, kind of jokingly, but said, hey, what if they were lying about all that? And someone else piped up and they're like, so what? Like, if they were lying about it, so we just got moved. Like, is God going to be disappointed that we just gave
Love it.
$600? Like, so what if we got taken advantage of? Jesus did too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't want to live, so you can be reckless with that, but I think sometimes it's like, sometimes that's the vulnerable spot that generous, serving living will put you in. It is vulnerable.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that, because what the difference is, it's about the offering. So I think that our God,
not the effect,
is not asking for the ultimately the end result is in his hands.
Yeah.
He's just asking us to be faithful.
Would you open your hands with it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're responsible for the offering. He's responsible for the outcome.
Yeah.
And I think talk about freedom. There is freedom when we decide that we're not responsible for the outcome. That's when I can put the change in the jar and go, okay, it's okay, because I
did what you were asking me to do.
Yes,
yeah.
And you can give the $20 to the person, and if he buys a sandwich or he buys alcohol, that's not necessarily yours to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be the detective in that moment. Do what the Spirit leads you to do in that moment. Now, test like if the Spirit is like, yeah, no, this is probably not a great situation. Okay, then listen to that.
And I think sometimes you end up in spots where you actually know how to meet the need potentially better than the person who's asking for a need to be met.
Ooh.
So like a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to serve with high schoolers in Washington, D.C. And I remember kind of our host for the experience. One of the things she said to the students was like, hey, so one of our organizational values is when we see folks on the street, we intentionally choose not to give them change or dollars in your pocket or whatever. Instead, we provide them socks and granola bars or something like that. And the heartbeat behind that was like, hey, that is a way that we are still meeting a need that we believe is actually also helpful. And so like, I think sometimes too, like if you can get in a unique situation where you also understand more about the need,
Mhm.
you might be meeting the need better than like at first blush, if you will.
Well, I love that. And that to me is thinking bigger than just about handing stuff out to people. That's about how do we as Christians lift up the dignity of others? How do we provide for their needs, not just make us feel good about we gave something? And I haven't remembered, I forgot about this. I haven't thought about this in years, but I remember there was a guy in a home we used to live in. There was a guy near us, and he was living at this home, but it wasn't his home. It was close to us, like our neighbor. And he was lost his job. It was not a good situation. They needed money bad. And I remember going home and telling Jenny, I was like, I feel like we ought to give him some money. And then we started thinking about it, and we're like, oh, he's really good at detailing cars. So I went to him, I was like, can you detail my car? And I paid him a good amount of money for that. He jumped right on it. But there's two things that happened. He was so proud of the work he did, and he got money. And that was, sometimes it's like that. Maybe that's the difference between sometimes charity is like just getting, there's moments for that. Like you got to just triage something. Yeah. That's that gas couple. I think the couple that ran out of the gas, like you just got to they need a hotel room tonight. This was a little bit more in depth. This was like, no, there's ongoing sustainable, there's dignity I want to give this guy. We want to give this guy. So sometimes it's just thinking more broadly about how we give so that we're lifting up the person, that we're bringing dignity to and honor to their life, not just triaging something.
There's also a hero complex too, because it's like, in the end, sometimes we put ourselves in those situations and we feel a sense of superiority. And we have to also be careful that we're always checking that, because it's like everything we have is a gift from God.
Yeah.
And it's his to do with as he pleases.